Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Podcast Assemble, the show where you come for your rambling geeky download. My name's Tommy, and I am delighted, as always, to be joined by my friend and co-host from across the pond. It's our resident book-related pun machine of the pod, DL.
Oh, yeah.
How are you, mate?
Book-related pun machine.
Yeah.
Dude, I that's a bad follow-up by me. I just repeated what you said.
Yeah, you did, yeah.
But I don't understand. Usually I get it.
The whole movie we're going to talk about is just book puns. That's
It's not
all
a
it is.
book pun. It's just...
Everything's a pun on something from a book.
They're not puns. They're literally from the book.
No, but the dialogue, DL, the dialogue from the books, it's real bad. But anyway, how are you, mate?
I'm good.
You're looking a little bit dusty over there.
Just a little karaoke, a little sake, a little.
Trying to give us a little bit of "I Want It That Way" by the Backstreet Boys.
Not anymore. I did enough of that last night. That's my voice is a bit shaky because of all that karaoke, all that sake, all those red wine.
What is your go-to karaoke song?
You know, I have a playlist. Let me see. And really, it's very, very short. So basically, when I say I have a playlist, it's like the last time I went to karaoke, I was like, I should just make a playlist of all the songs I like.
These three
so that,
songs.
Like, I'm ready to go when I actually go on karaoke. And I opened it up, and I only had 3 songs. So I obviously got too drunk. And then
yeah, but like when there's like 10 people there, you only need a couple.
I think like Grease is a good one.
Oh, all right, all right.
Summer loving, having a
You need a female
blast.
component in that too, though. No, I'm not going to sing for you.
You can
Bring it back.
You can be the girl. You can be the chick.
Thanks, mate. I will do that for you one day.
The reason being, I like that song is because you get both parties involved.
Well, that's the reason I like "Senorita" by Justin Timberlake, because you get the "I don't know what I'm thinking about."
Yeah, but
really
see, that
living
sounds
with
hard.
you. Well, that's why you need the female counterpart
Yeah,
there
that
as
sounds
well.
hard.
You need a bit of both. Like now the ladies sing. It's great. It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's literally the perfect karaoke song. Fight me.
All right, and adding it to the playlist.
It's good. I tell you what, the first karaoke song I ever sang is probably the hardest song I could have attempted to sing. It was "Suspicious Minds" by Elvis Presley, and I was so drunk, and literally I was in front of all of my brand new work colleagues, and I did not know anything except like the main chorus.
Oh, that's tough.
It was a nightmare.
It gives me anxiety thinking about that.
It's up and down, and it's like
Do you want to hear the 5 songs I've got on so
yeah,
far?
please,
Well, actually,
tell
I have
me.
more. I have "Shallow" by Lady Gaga, Bradley Cooper.
Oh yeah, of course.
I have
of
"Fly
course.
Me to the Moon" by Frank Sinatra.
Good song. Hard to
I have-
pull off though.
Yeah, but for the bold. "Sweet Caroline," obviously. "Piano Man," obviously. "Rocket Man," obviously. And
Rocket Man.
Jesse's Girl. Jesse's
That came out of
Girl.
left field. I was not. You're like Rocket Man, Piano Man.
What did we just talk about?
Jesse's
Which one was
Girl?
yours? I'm adding it.
"Senorita" by Justin Timberlake. It's a
Okay.
really good one.
Okay.
Give it a go.
It's added.
You'll not be let down. I promise you right now. Hey guys, if you don't want to listen to us chat rubbish about DL going to karaoke last night, feel free to jump around. There will be time codes in the description.
And can you please, if you enjoy karaoke
And jumping around for time codes.
and jumping around, if you just enjoy our karaoke on this podcast,
Please.
our chat, then give us a review.
Drop us a
Pass the
5-star,
pod.
guys. We love it when you do.
5-star review.
And if you want to hear more of us singing, go back to the 100th episode. There is a good 6-minute chunk at the beginning of
I doubt.
outtakes.
I doubt that's something people want.
I tell
But
you
they'll
what,
get it anyway.
We got good feedback from that. So when we get to the 200th episode, we will absolutely bring back the outtakes, because I think
Sweet.
yeah.
I actually think you could even do an other podcasts I listen to do outtakes.
Outtakes.
There's one.
Well, there's one.
Outtakes per episode, if they're just like 1 or 2, like in the lead, like as a cold open or like a.
Oh, hey, I'm not going to lie to you. When we had friend of the show, Mr. Matthew Bliss, helping us out with this, I would have
Yeah.
absolutely done that. But at the moment, while it's me doing it,
Yeah,
it's
fuck.
the bare minimal effort.
Yeah, MVP.
The bare
Minimum
minimal.
viable product. Get it to market.
Yeah, exactly.
Get it to market.
It out. What have you been up to, DL? What's been happening in your geeky world?
Lots of the same with Yellow Jackets. We're at the penultimate episode of season 2.
So that's weekly, right? Am I right?
It is
in that?
weekly,
Yeah.
and the
Okay,
last
that's why I
one
got it.
out is next week. And boy, oh boy, am I excited.
Well, you can't even tell me because we've actually started watching that.
Yeah,
now.
I know I can't spoil things, but I will say there's some things they did. Overall, I like it, but like how
Got it.
the execution, it's like the last season was like a 10. This one I'm saying is like an 8 so far.
Okay.
But the
Little
first
dip in
half
quality.
of the season was like phenomenal. There's just a couple nitpicks.
Nitpicks. Losty type nitpicks.
Not necessarily, more actual execution style nitpicks where I'm like, I like what you did. I just wish you did it differently.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it's not. It's
How
not.
are you enjoying it?
It's not on my list of things because we've only watched 2 episodes. We haven't had a lot of time.
Come on, there's 2 episodes.
No.
Talk to me. Talk to me.
I'm enjoying it a lot. I think it's got real creep value. Like the second episode, I think
Real
I even
creep
texted
value?
like it's real creepy.
Oh,
Like,
I've never heard that phrase. Before. Creep value
came out of my
As in,
mouth.
like, sometimes
I'm sticking with it.
being creepy has value. So that guy's got mad
Absolutely
creep
not.
value.
HR will come after you.
Yeah, okay.
I think I texted you actually when we were watching it. We watched the second episode recently, and there is a scene for anyone who's squeamish out there. And I'm like, so you know this about me. I broke my leg pretty bad when I was about 25, and it's made me particularly squeamish about anything
Gore.
breaking related or anything that's like.
Couple scenes there.
There is a literal scene
scene
in the
movie.
second episode where a dude has half a plane just crushing his leg, and it is grim.
As you like to say, knee was porridge.
No, his leg was porridge.
Knee slow was porridge.
He had Liam Neeson's legs.
Yes.
Yeah,
How
absolutely.
they should have been.
Yeah.
For sure.
Look,
Yeah,
I'm liking it. It's got some real creepy tones.
that whole episode is particularly gruesome.
Oh, absolutely.
But like, I mean, this is a gruesome show.
Yes.
I mean, you can see where it's going.
Oh, absolutely. Who's the girl with the glasses? Who's like she's like,
Misty.
She's not. Yeah, she's whoa.
by far the best character.
Cray.
By far the best.
Cray.
Like by far my favorite.
Yeah, and I could you could see even like when they were seeding it in the very early, even the first episode when she wasn't even like
Spoilers.
a key character. I was
Yeah.
like, she gonna be Cray.
But it's just she's just a really well engineered, fun character because you just like cannot understand her, but also root for her.
I feel like she subverts a lot of expectations as well. She's good.
Well, many times she's just very unique.
Yeah, okay. I like that.
You know, like usually when someone does some of the things she does, you're like, it's hard to root for.
Sure.
But like you'll find
I'm
yourself
not rooting for her right now.
Right now, no, but you'll find yourself start to root for her.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Good cast. Like everyone in it.
Yeah. Anyone that you don't like, I think it's off the top of my head, I can't think of one.
Good point. They're all pretty good.
Melanie Linsky kind of bugs me, but that's the point.
I think she's supposed to.
She's supposed to bug you.
She just did the episode where she killed the rabbits and she cooked one for their dinner.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, damn.
Rabbit stew.
Yeah, exactly. Well, chili.
Yeah.
Chili con
Oh, they
carne
do chili,
al rabito.
That sounds fucking good, actually.
It sounds great.
Yeah.
I
She can
haven't,
do
I haven't had a lot of
anytime.
rabbit in my time, but put it in
Organic.
chili. Oof.
Rabbit's
We'll get her
good.
in. She can
Rabbit's
cook
actually
it for
pretty
us.
good. It's like savory.
Okay.
Had it in Spain.
Nice.
Go to the
I've had
supermarket,
rabbit
you see
before.
rabbit.
It's great.
Yeah, it's fully
It's not even a delicacy. It's just in the UK. You just get Melanie Linsky in and she'll kill it for
in
you.
America. Anyway, we have been doing that. What other things have you been?
I've got a couple of
tuning
things.
into?
I've got one that I didn't finish. I'll start with that because I'm intrigued to know if you've seen it. So this last weekend gone, we watched 2 movies, one of which was This Is 40. Now it's got Paul Rudd and other people in it. I didn't care to look up any of them because I turned it off with 20 minutes to go. I was like, I do not like this movie.
Gail and I started that movie, but we fell asleep. I haven't
Well,
finished it.
good. I'm glad you fell asleep
Is it not
because
good?
so you know like how it's kind of just like bickering at the beginning and they're all
Judd
they're all loud.
Apatow with-
It does not stop. It is just that all the way through.
Is it funny at all?
No. I did not find a single joke in it funny.
But do you like Judd Apatow?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm down for his type of humor. That's
Because
great.
he's done weird. He's gotten weirder and weirder as he's
Sure.
gotten.
And I don't know if this is a case of like because I'm not 40 and maybe I don't have kids, I don't relate to it. But even if I was 40 and I did have kids, why would I want to watch a movie reminding me how fucking terrible my life is? I don't. Even if Paul Rudd is the most charming man in Hollywood,
There
I
was
don't wanna see
there was
that.
a couple funny parts when I watched it, but it was like only Paul Rudd.
Yeah,
Isolated
yeah,
to like
sure,
certain
sure.
instances of him.
There's a bit where he's like asking her to look at like his anus because he's like, there's something there, but I don't have the flexibility to look at it. Can you look? And his wife's like, no, I will not. And he's like, look, you had 2 kids. I've seen everything. I've seen you. I've seen your
yeah, come
entire
on.
thing. And he's like, come on. And she's like, okay, it's what you think it is. It's like that's like a fairly funny moment.
Yeah.
But like even that, I was like, her voice annoys me so much.
That's his wife as well.
Yeah.
Judd Apatow's wife.
in real life.
Yeah, and the kids.
Judd Apatow, I feel really sorry for you, mate. Like her voice is so annoying.
It's very like it's the most American chick
Really?
voice ever.
Ugh.
Like quintessential accent. But she's pretty and like some people are into that, you know, I think style.
That voice?
Yeah, I do think.
Leslie Mann. There you
Yeah,
go.
I do think so.
Did not look. I like.
Not for you, obviously.
I get it. I get the point of it. I just don't get why anyone would enjoy that.
We'll
so
put it in the box.
I turned it off.
Liam Neeson.
Yes.
Melanie Mann.
This is 40.
She's in the box.
We've started a box.
She's in the box.
They're in the box. What else have you been up to,
What's
buddy?
in the box. The
If it's her head, I mean, I'm not upset at this point. Not you, literally, actress. I mean, the part you play.
well, yeah. Good luck taking yourself out of that one. What else have I been doing? Look, we've been culty, stabby,
Still on
stabby.
your culty.
Well, it's a 6-part series. We didn't
Oh, man,
realize
that goes on forever.
this wild West. What was it called?
Yeah, I think it is that.
Yeah.
Netflix shows are normally like 2 or 3.
Yeah. There's it's good. It's getting funnier now. Like
Funnier?
it's gotten to the point where
What?
before it was like they are creating this great society, and now you're like all this stuff's starting to come out. You're like, yep, it always it always starts good
Oh,
with
it's
the
all
Colts, and
coming
then
out.
something happens.
Yeah.
And so that stuff's starting to happen. You know, somebody was stealing money, maybe we're not sure. And then, but the guy that's like the Jesus Christ symbol of this cult, has now like become more front and center,
Overt,
because his like main person is like broken away, and he just like the first word it's just like super funny. Like the first words he says to all his people is, "She is the devil."
Whoa.
Like in this like really slow, like Jesus, like he's just trying to be like, you know, really mystique and
mysterious.
it's just really like I probably butchered it, but you have to like the build up of the whole thing. It's hilarious that you see his face for like 4 hours of television. You're waiting to hear him talk, and the first thing he does is like go against like one person he's been following the whole time. Just like, she is the devil. Anyway, we move on.
That's
What else?
hilarious. I feel like I have to watch that at some point. Like it just sounds nonsense.
Dude, it's just interesting that it could exist.
And happens so often.
Dude, it's like the 80s. It wasn't that long ago.
I think, but like it still happens
But
today.
bro, some of these people are legitimately like
Psychopaths.
smart,
Yeah,
no,
oh yeah, absolutely.
intelligent, and they just like are backing this like feeling because they did. Some people did.
You mean
create
the
a free-
subjects are?
Yeah, like that's like
that
one-
thing I find fascinating.
That's the fascinating part because I'm like
Yeah.
listening to this guy talking. I'm like, you're a normal dude.
Yeah,
You could be
yeah.
at the office with me.
Absolutely.
He's like a lawyer. Like he's smart, and I'm just like, I'm like, so why are you doing this?
Yeah, what's the go here, guys?
Like, help me understand. I can't get it. Anyway, so that's that.
When you see them, and no offense, but they're quite, you know, like you're like, oh, I understand why you got taken in by this. It makes sense just listening to you
Some
talk.
people.
But when you see the ones and you're like,
Yeah.
and they put like thousands of dollars or whatever into their causes and stuff, and you're like, who hurt you? How did you get hoodwinked so bad?
Well, some people, it's like, sure, like, yeah, Tom Cruise, and they're kind of weird. That makes sense.
Sure.
This guy, there's quite a few of them where you're like, you're just freaking normal.
Just a normal dude.
Like, why? Anyway,
I don't get that.
What else have you been watching?
I will check that out. That sounds fun. I watched a movie which I'm going to really highly recommend. You may or may not have seen it. Tell me if you have. It's called Green Book. It's got
phenomenal movie.
Mahershala Ali.
Yeah, phenomenal
It's got
movie.
Viggo Mortensen. What a movie!
Didn't it win
And
Best
based on a
Picture?
real life story as well. Apparently,
Didn't it win Best Picture?
I'm not sure. Maybe
It's
been,
great.
it's one of them that's been on my list for so long. And I was flicking through it. We were flicking through on the weekend, and it was in comedy. And I was like, I'm pretty sure this is about like racial tensions in the US. Like, I don't know how this is going to be comedy.
There's funny parts.
I found it incredibly humorous.
Yeah,
I
there's
genuinely
funny
did.
parts, but I wouldn't call it a comedy.
I wouldn't call it a comedy. I think the interplay between them is incredibly funny.
Yeah.
It's sorry, not funny. It's incredibly fun. I like the two of them. I think they work really well together, even though Vigo's got that weird semi-Italian American accent going on. Like it's not quite nailed, but like I really like his character in it.
Yeah.
And wow, Mahershala is good.
Yeah, I mean the whole thing was freaking. I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
But it's very much that tale of like you've got like the stuck-up snobs, and then you've got like the normal dudes, and they've got to like come to live with each other. It's great.
Yeah, and like alongside like a guy that's like, you know, lived as a black American.
Yeah, absolutely.
In like the civil rights era. Right?
Yeah.
Or even maybe before. And he's just super, super like famous within his craft of being like a pianist. Is he a pianist?
Yeah, he's a concert pianist.
But and so like everyone knows he's really good, but he still faces so he's esteemed in society, but he still faces the racism, and you get this kind of from the I'm walking here part of New York
absolutely
character who like has to try and empathize with him, and there's a lot. I don't want to spoil it, but it's a great racial,
really great movie.
investigation of racism and like family and coming together, and yeah, it's good.
Agreed. I thought the ending. I thought the whole thing was really heartwarming. Like,
Very Harper
in
Lee.
general.
Very heartwarming.
Yeah.
Very Harper Lee. It's very reminiscent of like To Kill a Mockingbird.
Sure.
If you've
You know
read
that's
that book.
one we never did in high school.
Well, I mean, it is about American.
No, but we did like Of Mice and Men and stuff like that.
Oh, really?
But we never did To Kill a Mockingbird. That's one I would have liked to have done.
What you got in your pocket?
That's
isn't that Of
interesting.
Mice and Men?
Yeah. The narrative escalation from like the little bunny rabbits
Yeah.
to the dogs to the girl. It's so interesting.
Yeah.
And it's funny that none of that plays into any of the things we talk about in this podcast, even though
No, man.
that's how we were taught to do it.
Yeah,
You got one last one, buddy?
I do. 1923.
Oh shit, you were talking about this before.
I'm paying for Paramount Plus now.
Just
This happened. This happened over the weekend.
oh shit, you know they're rolling out the changes to Netflix here in the next few weeks, right?
I know. That's also I had that in my news. So you were leading straight into the news section. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this West. It's like more of a family style show, but it's good.
Is this so? This is the spin-off of Yellowstone,
Yes.
and it's the one with
It's set
Harrison
before,
Ford.
It's like 2 generations before.
Okay, it's got Harrison Ford in it.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
And it's giving me some good insight into like I like to write. I'm trying to write a Western myself on like the side.
Yeah,
And
nice.
it's just giving me a lot of good insight into like
With ChatGPT.
ChatGPT is an aid. Into like basically the branching. Like it's a whole thing. Like I just didn't understand the actual literally day to day of it.
Right.
And they're managing to make it interesting, which sounds like it would be a boring thing to watch on a show.
It does. It really
right?
fucking
But they're
does.
managing to make it interesting.
But then Harrison Ford's a great actor, and Helen Mirren's in it too.
She is. There's another guy, one of the sons,
Yeah.
who's a no-name actor. I'll look him up now, but he's very, very reminiscent of like a Clint Eastwood style, like a young Clint Eastwood.
Ooh.
And I think he's gonna be pretty big after this if he's not already. His
Ooh,
name.
that's a bingo.
That's a good-looking dude.
I literally
is-
watched a clip of that movie before we started this.
His name's Spencer Dutton in the show. His name's Brandon Skellner.
Oh, I have no idea who that is.
Skellner.
Let me look at that's
He's in The Offer, Vice,
Brandon Skellner. That's a real
Westworld.
interesting
He's in
name.
Westworld.
Really? Let me
I
see
don't
if I
know if he had a big-
recognize
I don't know
him.
if he had a big part, but
Brandon Skellner. What does he look like? Oh, he's a good-looking
he
dude.
is a good-looking lad.
He's got a bit of a Ryan. Well, in his initial
He's
IMDb
got like
picture,
a
he's got
Ryan
bit of
Gosling. look, but
Gosling
he-
view.
it's
look
not as
about him.
in real life. It's not like a.
No, he looks like if you mixed Ryan Gosling with who was the original Hulk? I've forgotten his name. Not Eric
Edward
Banner,
Norton.
then Edward Norton.
Yeah,
you
but
mix
he's
those
better
two
looking than
together.
Edward Norton.
Yeah, you mix Ryan
Yeah.
Gosling with Edward Norton, you
Yeah.
get this guy. That's not a bad mixture to have. To be fair,
I'd take it.
Like,
So
I'd
anyway, he's pretty good. It is a good show. I hope there's multiple seasons. I don't know if this is a one and done or not. We'll see. I guess.
Actually, I guess it depends on the ratings, right?
Yeah, but it's getting great ratings. Anyway, I bought it. So
You're paying
giving
for that now.
giving South Park $500 million to be on Paramount Plus did something.
Yeah, well, it helps.
Yeah.
I've got a friend of the show, Joe, who literally cannot fall asleep without putting on like a South Park episode or a Simpsons episode or a Family Guy episode.
So did he pay
He
for
just-
Paramount Plus?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he paid for it just so he could put it on his iPad or whatever, so he could sit there and watch it. It's
Yeah.
like nuts. I would like we used to live together like way back in the day, and I would be like it'd be like the dead of night. It'd be like 2 a.m. in the morning. I don't know, get up to go to the bathroom or something,
Yeah.
and I would just hear Family Guy playing in his room because he'd either fallen asleep with it
man.
on, or we'd be watching an episode to try and get to sleep. It's
Oh
like,
dear, yeah.
dude, you got some problems.
It's everyone's got their thing.
Speaking of, you mentioned a moment ago.
Yeah.
You were talking about the Netflix changes. What we like to do now is we like to talk a little bit about the things we've heard in our geeky spheres. And we like to call it Have You Heard? Because we aren't very creative.
No.
DL, what have you heard this week?
We did hear the Netflix crackdown. I'm curious if you've had any experience with this.
I haven't seen anything yet.
Yeah,
no.
so far,
You-
'cause we would know.
You're supposed to get an email.
We're 2 separate households and
Yeah.
we're using the same Netflix. There's actually 3 because my
Oh.
brother's on there,
Oh.
my sister's
But
on
she-
there. There
he's
may be
n-
4 or 5.
He's not in the States, though, right? He's in the States, though,
He's in
right?
the States, yeah.
Interesting.
So we'll be like,
So way out of there.
we are literally like the test subject.
I wonder if we can pull it off because we live
Yeah.
very close
maybe,
together.
maybe they'll get booted.
I reckon they might. That'd be
Imagine
interesting.
they boot me. I'm paying for it and they boot me. I'd be like, you guys really gotta pay. Anyway,
Well, they reckon. I was reading about it, right? So the owner of the account, which I assume would be your email address,
fucking hope so. Yeah.
should get an email saying like, "Hey, this is a
Should I
coming.
check my email
You should
right
check
now?
it right now on.
Let's see.
Let's have like a little.
I'll do it right now.
Noise.
Or while I do that, you can tell me about a bit of your news. You tell
Yeah,
me.
well, there's a bunch of stuff going on, and we speak about Netflix anyway. So I thought this is one you liked from this week. So Netflix has hired Arnold Schwarzenegger as their CAO. Now, if you're wondering what CAO stands for, we were too. It sounds complete nonsense, and it is. He is apparently their chief action officer. Now, Netflix have got a history of just throwing money at dumb shit and hoping it sticks. This sounds a lot like that to me. Like, let's give Arnold Schwarzenegger a bunch of money and see if he can improve our action movies. Like, what?
I'm selling all my shares. This is so fucking dumb. This doesn't make any sense.
No, it's dumb.
Why would you spend money? How much money is it? Just like a publicity stunt, you
It's
think?
got to be a publicity
If
stunt.
they're paying him anything.
What else could
for
it
this,
be?
Anything.
What is he going to do? Has he ever like had any insight into movies at all? Outside, like he's been in them, I get that, but has he done any producing? He's not done directing.
No, I'm sure he has, but
He may
dude, he's not
produce some
good.
stuff. No.
All right, so a new device is being used on your account. Hi, Dre. A new device is being used in your account. If this was someone in your household, enjoy watching Netflix. Queen Charlotte, a Bridgerton story? Nope, that wasn't me.
Yeah, but when was that?
That was literally on the 6th of May, but they sent me the email today.
No,
They haven't told.
That's probably not it. I reckon
No, they haven't told me to. They haven't.
That's interesting. They've not
we're
actually
good. Yeah.
come through. Maybe it's a scare tactic. Maybe they're just trying to.
Like, that's pretty dumb.
Yeah, maybe they're trying to freak us out. Hey guys. Oh, he does. So Arnold Schwarzenegger. We are jumping back and forward here. We're not normally like this, guys. We're better than this. He has 11 producer titles. So, ever heard of any of these?
He paid for it.
A 2021 episode of a show called The Superhero Kindergarten. Never heard of it. A movie called VIY2, which is the Iron Mask sequel, maybe. Looks awful. Game Changers. I think that's about bodybuilding. He's got an executive producer on. Wonders of the Sea. Killing Gunther. You ever heard of a bunch of these are like...
Sorry to say, I don't know a single one of these, and makes sense because I don't think he's a good producer.
A bunch of these look like they're direct streaming type movies, Aftermaths. But he does have producing titles on The Sixth Day from 2000, which is a movie, and The Last Action Hero. Well, you know that's on our list of the things we're doing like today, right?
So
because I think that's one that is better than the shit we watched today.
Hey. Don't speak ill of the Pagemaster.
Well, did you hear this week, DL, that
Yes.
Tears of the Kingdom's creators, so the new Zelda game,
Yes.
so the creators are apparently interested in making it into a movie. So after the
I guess
success,
after Mario,
of Mario, exactly that. After they saw the success of Mario, the couple of directors whose names I would butcher, so I will not try, basically say like they'd be keen to do it because I think it'd be badass.
I guess it's a pretty simple story, isn't it?
I mean, like, you could massively dumb it down, right? Yeah. You could make it so easy. And the thing
you
with
don't need to dumb it down.
True.
Link goes, saves princess, kills Ganondorf.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Do you reckon they'd go like the Mario movie and make Zelda into a badass
maybe
heroine of some description?
I mean, Zelda is a badass heroine usually.
Yeah, she is. I mean,
She's always having to get saved, but like in Super Smash Bros, she fucks. Sure, it's a good character.
I don't think you can say she fucks in that context. It doesn't
Super
sound.
Smash Bros. She is a very well-rounded character.
I don't think it kind of works when you say all of those words in the same sentence. But I'm glad you did. I'm glad we're exactly right here.
No, I didn't.
What do you hear this week, DL?
I didn't see that, but I did see a lot of video game news on the topic of video games turning movies.
A lot of video game news this week.
Yeah, my favorite of which was...
so there was a PlayStation Plus event.
Yeah, it was basically a
showcase, whatever they call it.
I just saw a bunch of news.
Yeah. It all hit at once.
Yeah, it was...
iGen was like... It's their favorite time of year. Their wrists were like massive.
Yeah, there's a lot of like scrolling you can go do on their news page today.
Well, let's just pick a couple of your favorites.
Yeah, for me,
which were yours?
I mean, it's undoubtedly Alan Wake. That trailer just got me hyped.
Yeah, of course.
Plug to our video games that should be movies podcast from like, I don't know, 2021 at this point.
I was expecting you to say 20 years ago. It's like, I'm not sure we're going that long.
2021, where I called that Alan Wake as a kind of underrated game that
we should come back to that. That's
really
fun...
does, have like the ability to be, the story's just really creative, and it looks like they're doubling down. And it looks like, quite frankly, Resident Evil mixed with like True Detective, mixed with like Silent Hill.
I like all of those words you just said.
Else is there?
Shut up and take my money.
Yeah, like you release it now.
It sounds good.
It's coming.
Does it
out
have a
soon.
release date?
It does actually. They just announced the release date, which is October 17th, 2023.
Damn, that's soon.
It's not far. It's not that far.
I didn't think it was going to be that soon.
And I told myself I have quite a few games to play, and I can't buy a new one. So what the hell am I going to do?
You got to get through some games, man.
it sounds
What do you got to
like it.
play? Give me a list again.
I've got to play Harry Potter.
Ah, yeah, you don't have to.
It looks fun. You're really down on that game now.
You'll enjoy it for like 15 minutes. You do the exploration bit, then you go, yeah, I get it.
Fair enough. Well, I got to play it.
I would just play the new game plus that when your partner finishes it, and then you can just have all the cool moves like Avada Kedavra and stuff. Run around, kill a few folks, use a broomstick, and you'll be fine. You won't need to.
But it's surely fun. Part of the fun is like doing the things.
No, it's so fetch quest. It's so boring.
Oh, really? It's just back and forth.
Yeah. And you've got to do all the little side quests with all the different characters who like, let's be friends.
But
I want to be friends with you.
But is there cool side quests?
I mean, I'm really stretching. There's a couple of fun ones. It's mostly like, here's a band of raiders. You have to go and get a thing from them. Do you want to sneak in or do you want to just wipe them out? What do you fucking think?
Fair enough. Okay.
It's not, yeah. At the time I was into it while I was playing it, I was like, yeah. And now like, I gradually just got sick of it. And the story, the way it ended, so dull. So I'm like,
God, you're really off it.
I don't want you to have to sit through that. What else you got to play?
Well, there's the Horizon Zero Dawn 2.
Oh, yeah, of course.
There's so much. I never finished The Witcher. I'm still trying to.
You're never going to finish that game.
Yeah, but I can because there's a next gen update, and I'll just pick up where I left off.
Did I ever give you that?
Never finished Breath of the Wild.
Oh my days.
I got a lot of shit to finish.
I just watched the ending on YouTube of Breath of the Wild. I think I will finish Tears of the Kingdom, though. I think I will finish it. I will.
It's very big.
It's huge. It's so big.
Okay.
And there's like 3 levels to it. There's like...
That's what she said.
Doesn't make sense.
For the first part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And it could make sense.
None of that makes sense. I'm glad we're back to you not making sense. What else did you enjoy from the PlayStation Showcase?
Spider-Man 2 had some cool stuff. I saw.
Yeah, let's talk about that. You
saw the whole trailer. I just saw some clips.
Well, it's like 12-minute gameplay, and I didn't want to watch that because that's a lot.
Yeah, it's kind of like a whole level.
It's too much, I feel. But so there's a lot of Spider-Man in the Venom outfit,
which is fun.
Which is a real lot of fun. So interestingly, the last game ended with like a stinger that Harry Osborn, Norman Osborn's son, was in like a container thing. Spoilers for Spider-Man,
which I haven't finished.
Whenever it came out, AJ. Yeah. It's a stinger at the end. Like you don't need to know. And he effectively he's dying or whatever. So there's all the hints throughout the game that he's in Europe and he's not around. He's actually in like the Oscorp lab being like
killed.
No, like trying to keep him alive. And what they're using to try and keep him alive looks like the Venom symbiote.
Okay.
So that's gonna somehow
tie in,
connect with Spider-Man. So Peter Parker will have the Venom symbiote by the looks of it. Miles Morales be Miles Morales. There's Craven in this. There's a lizard in this. There's a bunch of characters. So luckily it's not Aaron Taylor Johnson, because I feel like
we're gonna get that anyway.
We're gonna get that anyway. You're gonna watch that in the cinema.
It's already happening.
I don't know. Like it looks really fun. Like
the gameplay, some of the battling in the symbiote just looks like really creative and fun.
Yeah, and some of the nuances they're gonna implement. So for example, there's like a new sneak thing where what you can do is you can fire a web across the room, and you can effectively like, what do you call it when you're walking on like a high wire across?
Tripwire,
yeah, and like sneak up on guards and stuff.
Do like so basically do more of the like the stealth kills.
Sneaky stuff. Yeah. But my favorite, I preferred that bit. That was so much fun.
Yeah, it was.
And also, I got too excited with the gameplay and would just get the shit kicked out of me a lot. So
yeah, well,
I just jump in the middle of about 12 guys and be like, I got you all, and then I did not got them all.
It was really fun to just like creatively manage enemies in that game, like
Absolutely.
when you're trying to get overwhelmed. Anyway,
absolutely, I liked the one I liked, but also got a bit sick of towards the end. The ones where you'd have like, it was like levels, so you'd have like 6 enemies.
I loved those.
I did too.
They're so good.
You couldn't create. So after the first level, you couldn't like manage them the way you're saying. So you could only do the stealth stuff for the first round. And the second round came in, you're like, they know you're there.
Yeah, but that was like the best part. I'd be like swinging some into each other, like grabbing shit. It was just like so creative.
Apparently, in this new one, there's it looks like there is some sort of attack where you can take 2 out at once, which sounds great. Yeah. Especially if they're like puny little guards. You'd be like, puny guards. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so that's the one we saw that. That one was pretty good.
Oh, and the map's expanding too. It's going to have...
Oh, yeah.
Queens, and I think the original one was just Brooklyn.
It's going to be 3 boroughs.
Yeah, it's going to be big. big.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. It's a
It was,
sequel,
it
right?
was originally just Manhattan, and they're adding
Manhattan,
Brooklyn.
that's
Yeah,
it.
they're
So they're adding Brooklyn and they're adding Queens. Which is right, because Peter Parker's from Queens.
He is.
I feel like he should have been in the first one.
Yeah.
Any final bits from the showcase? Did you see the handheld? That looked fun.
It looked cool.
Yeah.
Would I get it? Probably not.
I mean, it is just like
But it is
Wi-Fi play
cool.
from your, like, streaming from your PlayStation effectively.
Yeah, it's cool.
Like the guy says from IGN, like, if you really need to play 8K PS5 on the dunny, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
You pay $500 for this thing.
Seems like a cool creative thing, but also like, surely I don't need that.
don't care that much about it.
Yeah.
It looks interesting. I don't know if it becomes like a PSP and you can take it around with you. Amazing. I'll
Yeah,
do
but there's
it.
just no way the hardware couldn't support.
I think I was the only person in the world who actually bought a PSP.
Many people had PSP.
Really?
It was successful.
I didn't meet anyone else who had a PSP ever.
I don't think they brought them out on the bus like you, but
I really like that. They did also announce a new Metal Gear, or I think it's a remake of the first Metal Gear, which is technically the third Metal Gear, which I don't know how that works. But they are
That's
releasing
serious.
a new Metal. It looks like the graphics look phenomenal. At this point, it's all right. I get it.
It's a pretty famous
It's well
series,
renowned.
so they're gonna make money on it.
My favorite was at one point we talked about doing a Metal Gear episode because Oscar Isaac had been announced as being like the face of Metal Gear. He was going to do a TV show. He was going to be all across it. And we were like, hey, yeah, let's talk about this. And then we were like, I started researching. And I was like, this is wild. Like, what am I reading?
It's too confusing. It's
There's
way too
clones.
confusing.
There's sons. There's like weird people.
It's honestly very Resident Evil.
Really? Okay.
Like the end of Resident Evil, like when it got bad, like the last 3 games had
Right.
weird shit like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But I think people love it. And apparently it connects like well. I don't get it.
Sounds confusing to me.
It sounds, mate,
But-
it is.
But like, I guess the question is like, why, if that is happening with him as the, why haven't we heard anything with Oscar Isaac and Metal Gear?
Great question.
Did it actually?
It's a little while ago. Do you want to give it a quick Google?
I'll give it a Google. Pre-production, very early stage, and apparently Oscar Isaac, according to Den of Geek, gave away what's holding back the Metal Gear Solid movie.
Ooh, interesting.
He said it will release eventually, even if it's just an idea in his mind. What is it? I'm going to slowly read this. We want it to happen. Be excited. What's the script? What's the story? What's the take? Nobody knows, but hopefully that comes to fruition because there's so much potential for that. It's an incredible game. It's my favorite. Wow.
I
Oscar
bet
Isaac
he's
games?
never played any of them because he said game, not games. Because there's a lot of those games.
There is.
There's minimum 5, if not probably
But
like
maybe they're
9.
talking about Metal Gear Solid, like the original.
But, yeah, sure. But I mean, like, I don't think he's ever played those games. I don't think he could surely not play video games. He's not a video game guy, surely.
I am surprised if he is.
I would be very surprised. Have you seen that new Jack Black YouTube video? Have you seen that? It's like it's Tenacious D back together.
Is it just praising The Last of Us?
No, it's great. It's effectively like he's like it's like a song like Tenacious
Okay.
D style. It's like I'm an adult. I don't play video games except sometimes this and then sometimes Red Dead and yeah, Red Dead's fucking art, man. Okay, maybe I do play video games. It's really good. I highly recommend
It
going
is
and
art.
checking it out.
Red Dead's the best.
Yeah,
Shout out to Red Dead.
Red Dead 2.
Both.
Oh, both. All right,
Yeah,
all right.
I played both. Red Dead 2 is better, but yeah.
Got anything else? Any other news?
That's all we got this week.
That's all we got. All right,
It's
guys.
over.
If there's anything you've heard that we haven't called out, hit us up. Hit us up at Podcast Assemble on Instagram or thepodcastassemble@gmail.com. We actually have some correspondence later on in the show from one of the friends of the show, which we'll save for the end. But hit us up. We will call you out. We love it when you do. Tag us in memes. Send us things. We love it when we love all that stuff, right?
We really
We're
do.
rambling. DL,
Yes.
do you want to preface our main topic and the anthology we're going for this week?
We're tapping a familiar well this week.
It's a new one.
A nostalgic well in that case. Movies from our youth. This is a new anthology, or is it an addition to a old? Wasn't the
It's a
Lord of
new
the Rings?
anthology.
It's a new anthology.
Well, let's say it's part
We
of
could
Lord of the
say
Rings
it was
one.
inspired
Sure.
by the Lord of the Rings.
I have no idea
animated
what that was part of.
Rewatch.
Sure. That must have been part of one of the anthologies.
But we are doing The Pagemaster, a
from
movie
1994.
from 1994, a movie that I very much remember from my youth watching quite a bit. One of those VHSs that's just lying around, as Tommy always says. Had to watch it because it's basically all you had. You alternated
That's how media
between
worked
the
back then.
10 to 15 movies you had. You just flipped in and out. There was also a video game, which I'm pretty sure I
Really?
had. Yeah.
That's interesting. Platform. It must have been a platformer
I think
back
it was
in
like
those
a
days.
PC.
Oh, that's interesting.
on the PC.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
And much in the sense of the Lord of the Rings you just mentioned, and I just realized that the title of it on our actual feed is The Lord of the Wrongs, which I actually think makes way more sense than The Lord of the Rings for that
Fair
episode. Much in the same way, I hadn't actually seen this, so watching it for the first time didn't have a lot of the childhood nostalgia that you did. So that'd be an interesting.
It will be an interesting
counterpoint.
take. Yeah, for sure. I mean, all I'll say is the Lord of the Rings in that the Lord of the what did you call
Wrongs?
it? The Lord of the Wrongs. They did Sam so dirty.
Oh, they did Sam Soda.
They did
That's
so
actually a meme that comes up on Instagram regularly. But DL,
yes,
before we get into this, do you want to give me your stupid plot summary?
yeah, of course I do, and it is: kid takes a hard fall and is never really the same.
Ah.
Pretty simple.
Ah.
Without spoiling things, I think that's the gist of it.
Mine takes a very, very different route.
Whether or not you believe he is not the same because he went through some introspective journey or because he's permanently concussed.
I think for a different reason.
Yes.
Let me tell
Yeah,
you my stupid plot summary, because you will get it very quickly.
Okay.
You ready for this?
Yes.
Severely autistic boy gets brain damage and uses imaginative book-based scenarios to probably cover up getting molested in a library.
So you just think that he's just like blocked this out?
Yeah, absolutely.
Psychological trauma.
I think he took a head like bump. Stuff happened to him, and he's like, "This is how I'm going to escape from this." In Moon Knight, Mark Spector creates a whole new character, and in this,
You know what, Tommy? You're probably not wrong.
I mean,
Macaulay Culkin was very famous.
well, could this be an autobiographical movie? We'll talk about it. DL, do you want to guess for me before we get into it then, the IMDb score for this?
That's so hard. I mean, because like this is such a weird one.
Out of 10.
Out of 10, if I even rated this as a rewatch, taking my nostalgia out of it, against other Macaulay Culkin movies, and we're saying like, Home Alone is like the 10 out of 10, right? On the Macaulay Culkin
Sure.
scale.
I'd say Home Alone 2 personally, but
whatever, you get my point.
Yep.
The Macaulay Culkin scale.
I can't think of any other home.
We got Richie
Macaulay
Rich
Culkin
at
movies.
like, I don't know, like 8. This is a 6.5.
Ooh, it's a 6-1.
Yeah,
Not
that's
bad.
a bit harsh.
Good effort. Good
bit
effort.
harsh.
Do you want to guess for me then the Rotten Tomatoes score? Now, I'm going to do Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic together because they're actually exactly the same for the first time ever.
I feel like it would be like 85. Like Rotten Tomatoes would like it more. No?
I think in terms of the Price is Right, I'd be saying lower, lower.
50? 40? Why do people hate this movie?
It's got 21% on both.
I wonder if it even got reviews.
I reckon it's people looking back retrospectively and going, this sucks. But
right, fair enough.
interestingly, the co-directors of this, one was a guy called Pixot Hunt, and he did Fantasia, which is fascinating, and actually a movie that terrified me as a child, so we will not be doing that.
This movie's terrified me too.
This one did.
Yeah.
Interesting. And
the Dr. Jackal part.
the second director was Joe Johnston. Now, you may recognize that name because he went on to do Captain America, the First Avenger, which is also super interesting.
Wow, that's random.
I know.
This is his start?
I mean, he had a couple before this, but effectively, yeah. Like, this must have been how he started. They were both apparently in animation divisions, and this was their, like, big to-do, apparently. So, great. Good for those guys. But the cast is actually super fun. So
it's packed.
Yeah, stacked as well. Macaulay Culkin as Richard Tyler. It's got Christopher Lloyd, who you will all know from Back to the Future as Doc, as Mr. Dewey, and a bunch of others. It's got Mel Harris. It's got Patrick goddamn Stewart as Adventure. It's got Whoopi Goldberg as Fancy. We're going to come back to that in a bit. Frank Welker, who you love as Horror, and Leonard Nimoy as your least favorite character, Dr. Jekyll, which I find... I didn't realize it was Leonard Nimoy.
I didn't know who that was. All I know is the animation was so scary. We'll get into it.
It was creepy as hell. We absolutely will.
That's a good part.
So let's talk about this movie then, DL. What's your connection to this? Like, you talked about you had it from your childhood, but like, get a bit deeper for me.
Yeah, man. I remember watching it a bunch as a kid. We had the VHS, as I said, and I had the video game, and something about, I think, the concept of like, I liked to read as a kid.
Yeah.
I liked You know, I
You were a
liked
nerd. I get it. You nerd.
I liked Macaulay Culkin, I guess.
As a kid, like he's the dream,
Yeah,
right? Like everyone wants to be
For
that.
sure. The concept though of like falling into this world where like you are in the book it was just like a very unique, interesting, intriguing. This
Sure.
movie, when I remember watching it and being like, it has a mystique to it, like a mysticism to it, like
All
a
right.
high fantasy, like weird dreamlike thing. Like the way that like the library is, just like pushed your imagination. The library
Sure.
became this huge, massive like walls the size of like freaking worlds.
Sure.
And you're like, oh, but it's a library, but it's this crazy world. It just was so different than your typical Disney animated movie that I think I was just intrigued by it. And I
I don't
think
think it was Disney.
it
Actually.
isn't. That's my point. But but at that age, all you're watching is Disney.
Sure.
And it was such a different take and different formula. And you get kind of moments where it's not really a kid's movie, like certain freaky
absolutely.
moments.
Oh, I will pick out a few.
And I think that was just like, as a kid,
freaky baby.
going into like an animation film, thinking you're going to get one thing and getting something so different.
Sure.
It was.
Did you watch it in the cinema?
I don't think so. I think I only had it on VHS.
All right. 1994. How old would you have been in 1994? Giving the listeners an insight.
By the time, let's just imagine I didn't watch it when it was out.
Hypothetically, when it was out in cinemas, 1994.
I was 3 years old.
Wait, you were born in 91.
91.
Oh my days.
Yeah.
I was thinking 2004 in my head, but then now you say it. Wow, that makes me feel really old. Thank you, DL.
It's old.
I very much appreciate it.
All I did was answer your question.
Oh, I know, and it didn't. I don't know why I ask you questions, but that's that's a really interesting.
Like it was just different.
I didn't have that, and I don't know why. Like it's like there's no reason this shouldn't have been on my radar, but it just wasn't. I think maybe I was just too busy watching Short Circuit or Enter the Dragon, the weird films that we had at home.
Yeah.
So then let's talk a bit about the plot. Then what happens?
I mean, at a high level, little bitch boy who fears his shadow gets lost in a supernatural, metaphysical / concussion dream world / if you're Tommy, traumatic
covering
black
up
box
trauma.
Yeah, like molestation trauma dream in a library.
We
where
don't condone molestation. By
No,
the
we
way,
don't.
though.
I mean, I don't know what I said.
I made a joke about it, but
what I don't know what we said there that would have
that's
said
as
we
far as it
condone
goes. No,
But-
I'm just going back to my original statement.
The dream, let's just call it a dream, in a library where he must face his fears against and within the backdrop of famous literature stories.
Of which they spend no time on any of them. They just brush past.
They
them all.
really do. It's the Cliff Notes version.
It's literally.
It is the.
My one problem with this story, like, look, I'm going to go big here. I'm just going to give you my big problem straight away.
Okay.
Right. The whole point of this film seems to be, hey kids, read more books. Right. Like you get all this fancy, this imagination, you get all this cool stuff, and then instead of actually giving you any information about the books to make you, oh, that's interesting, you see them for like 35 seconds, and then you just leave.
You're just on to the next one.
Yeah.
No, I think it's just like, what do you want? Because if you do more, it becomes like, oh, you're just stealing. It's like the story of each of these books. I think at the point is like the kid asks, "What's that from?" The parents are like, "Oh, it's called Moby Dick."
Asperger's. I'm kidding.
Get my point.
Yeah,
Gulliver's Island, like
I do.
Gulliver's
Gulliver's Island.
Gulliver's Travels. Is that
Gulliver's Travels. One or
Yeah.
the other. I think the thing with it is that it's a very short movie. It's like,
Dude, it's
an
100
hour 20.
It's not even 80 minutes.
It's so short.
Yeah.
And I just think, just give those characters in those worlds that you apparently love so much just a bit of time.
You could
Flesh them out.
You could have given like the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It goes like for literally
15 seconds.
It's like they say hello and then he drinks the thing.
Yeah.
I agree. Like just give them 5 minutes more.
Take a bit of time in horror. Give us
Yeah.
a reason to be scared in there. But like they spend, they walk through a great. We're getting way ahead of ourselves.
Yeah.
They walk through a graveyard and then they're literally at his thing. He drinks his thing and then he falls off a tree. It's a tree. It falls through a hole. It's like,
I agree.
What?
I agree. But like any more, and it's like not a kid's movie. Like any more creepy there. Like, but who cares? I would have been fine.
just
I
give
know
us
what
more
you
Leonard
mean.
Nimoy.
I know what you mean. I get it. I take
Sure.
your point. But to your point, it is a fuck. This movie moves.
Yeah.
I was like watching it. I was like, oh well, I guess I can also watch something else tonight. This is quick.
It was so fast. I had time to do other stuff. But interestingly, the movie itself, it apparently went under like a lengthy production process.
Yeah, 3 years.
Which is really interesting for the type of thing. But mainly due, I think, to the combined like live action, which you've not really talked about, and then the animation elements, because it is like a properly, mostly animated movie.
Yeah, when we talk about the plot and we talk about the kid that faces his fears in this dream state,
Yeah.
he basically, we're introduced to Macaulay Culkin, who's like, oh, fears everything. Got a statistic for everything about why you can die and be.
He's the Rain Man.
Yeah.
for statistics on dying, apparently.
And so his dad, in an effort to get him outside and, out there and doing things, tells him to go to the hardware store, buy some nails for the treehouse they're building.
By the way, the ride to the store, like, everything is actually trying to kill him. Like, literally. Like, the thunders are chasing him.
No, it's
like,
something...
I was like, there's a whirlwind at one point.
Something magical is happening, and he has to take shelter in a library.
Sure.
In which case, he is, exploring a phone to call his parents, where he slips on the wet floor.
Yeah, and gets molested.
Tommy thinks he gets molested.
He effectively knocks himself out in the middle of the library. The thing I find most interesting about the opening to it is when you're introduced to Christopher Lloyd's character, who is effectively, he's kind of the bookkeeper. He's
Dewey
like,
Decimal System.
Of course, that is exactly what he is. And I find him like terrifying and like intriguing at the same time.
Oh, that's what I loved. It's got this mystique.
Yeah.
He's kind of like, it's almost like it reminded me of Hook.
Yeah,
it's that scene.
Yeah, Hook. Let's put that on that list as well. Go on, keep going.
Yeah, it's a good one. No, I loved that. And then you get this live action part. He slips, and then suddenly you're introduced into animation, and it becomes like the animation takes over the library, and we're into this new
he's
world.
effectively looking like what's kind of like a glass, like a stained glass ceiling, but not kind of animated. And then it all comes down, and like it's very Fantasia in the way it happens. Like you can see the influences, and it takes over him, and it takes over like everything around him, and he gets chased by a dragon, and it's not really a dragon, is it? It's sort of like a swirling mass of colors
that then turns him into an animation,
which is
this
kind
library
of a cool.
world.
It's a cool setup.
It is.
I kind of like how they did. Like honestly, it's
very unique.
Yes, and I'm saying a lot of like negative things about this, but I was watching it thinking this for the time. It's got like a quirkiness to it. It's kind of nice, like it, and because it was quick as well. I was like, oh yeah, this is
at
gonna
least
be
it's
a
not
breeze.
long.
Yeah. I can do other shit tonight. I can play Zelda.
It's not long. And on his journey, as we're talking about the plot, very quickly after that, he's introduced to a couple characters.
Oh, the best.
Yeah,
we mentioned them in the cast a moment ago. So you obviously got Patrick Stewart's Adventure,
who is his first book that he meets, who's a pirate book.
Did not pick that as Patrick Stewart at the time.
Really?
Yeah.
So I didn't realize it until I did see that Patrick Stewart was on like in the opening. Like it's one of the things that says Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, me too.
And then I like halfway through was like, oh fuck, that's actually him. I don't know what it was, but something somewhere along the line.
Because I was looking for him or listening for him even, and I was like, oh, it's kind of weird that I've not really heard him. And then like while I was sort of like Google like IMDbing it, I was like, oh my god, he's that book.
Yeah, he's that book. And then you're like, oh. Whoopi, that's Whoopi.
Yeah,
that was
pretty.
That's Whoopi. See, that's fantasy is Whoopi Goldberg.
Yes, let's talk about her in a bit.
Yeah, she's another book. And then as we move a little bit further in the story, maybe 20 minutes in, you get introduced to another character, Horror, who's kind of like a horror book, kind of slow.
That's Frank Welker. Now,
what do you want to say about this? Is he mentally?
I'm
disabled?
not 100% sure.
Is that what they're going for?
I think they're going for like the Hunchback.
Yeah.
Which is a really horrible stereotype in like now, but like looking back, like you can see why they went for it. It's kind of that stereotype. But Frank Welker's done a ton of stuff. He's been in the Transformers movies. He was in the original Mortal Kombat movie, a bunch of Disney stuff, Animaniacs. He's been in a lot of things. He's effectively he's a storied like voice actor, which is fun. And I like Frank Welker. I like that character. And it's got a lot of charm to it. It's just a shame they went with such a unfortunate stereotype.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really think about it until this moment, to be honest. Maybe I'm an asshole.
But I was just thinking, when you're a kid as well, like you wouldn't have picked that up. That's one of those very like look back and cancel.
But I mean, the character has comedic moments throughout, and the interactions between him and Adventure Sir Patrick Stewart are pretty funny.
Let me ask you a question, DL, very quickly.
Let's do it.
If I were to give you a book, hypothetically, or a magazine, or anything, like I was hypothetically giving you a piece of page-based media, and I was saying, hey, this is a fantasy piece of page-based media. What would you think immediately?
Lord of the Rings.
Right, you go to Lord of the Rings because when it was happening and they were talking about the fantasy section, my head immediately was like
Cinderella.
Is that a porn section? Like, what
my
is
God.
happening here? I was like, what is happening? Is what's happening with Whoopi
Oh,
Goldberg's
because
character?
of like her, they keep talking about her like
Yeah. And they sexualize this book for some reason. I'm like, how is this what is happening?
It's a fair point.
The whole way through. Stop sexualizing
It's a fair
books.
point.
And then there's the weird kiss scene between her and Adventure. I'm like, this is
That does feel like it just didn't need to be.
it
there.
felt like tacked in almost, you know what I mean?
I
Like they
agree.
needed something because it's a kid because the kid's not going to get a kiss.
100%.
But then there are there's some really problematic movies from like the 90s where kids end up kissing like an older female character.
Oof.
Really odd. And I saw a thing about it and like that was like the punchline of a lot of movies for like early 90s.
At least it's just 2 books,
Yeah, at least it's 2 books.
2 grown books,
A fantasy book deal.
and an adventure book. Fantasy adventure.
But what did you think about like the voice acting in this? Because I actually really enjoyed it.
All right, look, I think the voice acting is pretty good overall. I think the animation's pretty good too. It's older. It's older, but it's still great. The coolest part, I think, is just how you're weaving through these different stories that you've heard. And
it's brisk.
Yeah, it's brisk. You go through horror, you go straight into adventure. You
Yeah.
see Moby Dick.
Now that was one I really liked.
Yeah, you see.
Can we talk a bit about that?
Yeah, let's do it. And then you
really
get into
like
like
the
kind
Moby
of
Dick
the Moby Dick is like after horror. You run into the ocean and you're suddenly like
Was that adventure?
it is
What was the
that
Moby
whole
Dick?
middle section is adventure.
Right.
Moby Dick into Gulliver's Travels into Long John
John
Silver
Silver, yeah.
into Gulliver's
Yeah,
Travels.
okay.
It's all adventure. novels.
Interesting. I mean, they were all kind of semi-nautical themed, so
Yeah.
like, I get that because the book is obviously nautical
And
themed.
he's a pirate.
I liked that, and that the scene, actually, the Moby Dick scene was pretty horror, like itself.
Yeah, they
like,
both. I mean, I was like, could you imagine?
Yeah,
Big
they
ass
went.
whale.
It went like super. Like it effectively turned into like Kill Bill.
Yeah,
It went like reds and black and whites. and
red
it was like-
eyes and
yeah.
the big red-eyed whale just destroys their boat. You're in the middle of the
it was
ocean.
Crazy. I really like,
Yeah.
and that whole animation scene was really interesting as
Yep.
well. Like I really liked it. The way the whale was almost obscured the whole time. Like
Yeah.
you barely even saw it, and it was kind of like when it was on screen. I may have zoned out a little bit at this point, but like when it was on screen, it was kind of obscured. I felt in like with the animation style,
Until it just destroys
and
their
then it
boat.
just like
Yeah.
goodbye,
No, it was
boat.
good. And the guy was like adequately crazy. So you were like not Moby Dick. What's the Captain Ahab? Is this like the guy that is trying to kill Moby Dick? He really sets the tone. He's very creepy and eccentric and
Like I said, I think that's more horror than the horror one.
They're both of them were
Yeah,
pretty
fair.
bad.
Maybe they
I
both
think.
in that.
I thought just the animation of Dr. Jackal was interesting.
Sure. Now, going back to my key theme of the movie,
Yes.
molestation of a child. Apologies, I really shouldn't have picked this as a theme, which is running all the way through. They then get picked up by pirates, right?
Yes.
And it is really, really, really creepy how they're just leering at this child. And like, they're effectively like, he has no idea what's going on. They're all like, this is our only catch today, boys. And it's like, whoa.
Why do you go like?
It's watching it
I
back.
don't, I don't think it was like that. I think it was more like he's
I
gonna
think
be.
it was.
It's not sex slave. He's just gonna be a slave. Like literally, like do all the work, bro.
Well, I mean, like, if you've seen 12 Years a Slave, like, there's a gray area.
Okay, maybe,
They've been on that
maybe
ship a long time.
Maybe these things I missed
I
because of the
mean,
beauty of youth.
yes, but I think that's the difference between watching it as an adult and watching it as a child. Like,
Yeah, maybe.
it's a little bit like the Mario movie in that sense that it doesn't have that many jokes for adults, which I found quite interesting. I thought it would have more.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It's not really, and it's not really all that funny. Like mainly adventure and horror are the only two funny moments, right? And they're hit or miss, but
Okay, well, look, let me just finish my point here.
yeah,
The reason why I feel like this is all sex, I mean, and this is probably in that realm of like jokes for the adults, right? But
maybe.
like the reason why I feel like it's all sexualized and all a bit weird is, so let's go back to fantasy for a moment. There is literally a direct quote, and I wrote this down while I was watching the movie. There's a direct quote where fantasy, the novel, literally says the words, I come from a world of happy endings. Now, if you can tell me that isn't like a sexual
Come
innuendo,
on, dude. That's
I'm
like every fantasy story ends with a happy ending.
I'm like, come on, bro.
It does. That's
on,
known. It is known.
Oh dear, I think it's hilarious. It's definitely in there for a reason. But so we've talked about adventure, we've talked about fantasy, horror. Then let's talk about why that scared you so much.
I just really like the character design. Like as I said, it meant horror, the character, or the beginning part of the movie.
The as in that part of the movie where
Yeah.
they're in horror. So they find a mansion effectively.
A mansion.
So we've not talked about this. They're trying to find the exit.
Yeah, that basically the whole journey is to find the exit sign
To the library,
which
which
is the
is,
library,
yeah.
and it's like, but it's in this faraway land. The exit sign, you can see it in the distance.
And they're going through all these different areas and
Yeah.
they're opening books and
which
things
are all
coming out of them.
sections of the library.
Yeah. So like a dog comes, like one of the Hounds of Baskerville comes out.
Yeah,
of
one of the
them.
books is like the Hounds of Baskerville all come out, and it's it is why did I like that part? Because it was so different for a child's movie at the time. And the
Agreed.
character design to me was like creepy and creative. If you look at like they go to a mansion, they meet Horror the book, they meet Dr. Jackal, and then he's testing out this new, and he's like, the darkness of man is in everyone, and he's testing out this new potion, drinks it, and becomes Mr. Hyde and starts doing all these crazy things, which is obviously a famous literature story. And
Of course.
he look, I thought the design was just adequately creepy. It was almost
And then he was like, live long and prosper. And we
Yeah.
all knew what he was talking about.
totally.
Leonard Nimoy reference. All right.
Yeah. It was very much. It reminded me of like the Babadook, that part.
I really liked how
design.
it was such a, like, if you look at Richard's, so Macaulay Culkin's avatar in this thing, like his character model,
Yeah.
and the books he's traveling with, so adventure, fantasy, and horror, even like this is where they meet horror, right? Even horror as well, they're like quite Disneyified, like in their cartoonishness. Whereas I feel like there's quite a big juxtaposition between that and what we're talking about with like the Hyde character, who's all like jagged edges.
Yeah,
and
no, it was a very big change,
you see like a huge difference in the animation style.
which is indicative of like his probably tortured.
Oh, this is deep, dear. Give me some
Tortured
more
character.
of these themes.
Um,
But it was very. But then they leave. 36 later, he falls down a
yeah,
hole.
I
So
would
give
have
me more
liked to
of that.
get to know Mr. Jackal a little
Yeah.
bit better.
Or chase him around the house, do a bit of Scooby Dooing for
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, give me a bit more.
I understand the complaint. It's fair.
Do you think the like? It's obvious, right? So like, each of the different zones, areas, book types he goes into, like, are representing a part of his scaredy cat personality.
Yeah,
he
him
has to get
facing his
over.
fears, and like
Yeah.
he almost leaves horror and like the fantasy book, because like horror's getting dragged in by Mr. Hyde, and he almost leaves his new friend.
Yeah.
Well, and actually he does. He doesn't act, and fantasy comes and saves him. So he's like learning, like, God, I'm still kind of a bitch. Like I need to really step up.
He's learning valuable lessons.
Yeah, he's
about
like, I need
how
to,
to
like,
treat his friends.
How to be like a true friend and be courageous. And there's that same, if you look later in the book, that same moment, he could leave his friends. They're like, leave us, get to the exit. And he's progressed as a character. Instead, he grabs the armor and faces the
And the
dragon
sword,
in the
yeah.
fantasy world. So like, it's a classic story of like face your fears. We're getting into themes now, I guess.
Keep
'cause,
going. It's great.
Yeah,
I like it.
we're breezing through this one, but it's a short movie. So the theme, what I would say, is literally just face your fears and sacrifice for your friends. Like there's not much else.
That's very
Maybe don't send your
poignant.
kid to the
Yeah.
hardware store, or
On
he'll
his
get
own.
molested. America's not a safe place.
Libraries are weird, man.
Yeah.
Libraries are weird. There were no guns in there, but there were awkward old men. So who knows what happened in there? Let's just then talk a little bit about the action then, because I like what you're talking about there. So the final area he enters is they're effectively trying to escape. They're in the last area, and the dragon from the original mural,
Yeah.
whatever they are, skylights, just pops up at the right possible moment
Yeah.
to test his valor effectively,
Really,
right?
it's a cool looking dragon too.
Yeah, it looks cool. I like it. It's very not Disney.
No,
In fact, it reminds me of the one in Shrek.
it does. Yeah, except not as fat.
Maybe not as fat, yeah.
More
Are we
expendable.
fat shaming a dragon now? Is that where we've got to on
I
this
mean,
podcast?
there's fatter dragons I've seen
yeah.
on fucking Dungeons and Dragons. That
Watch
was a-
Dungeons
that was
and
a
Dragons.
Chunker.
That's a good move, man. I want to watch that
A
again.
chunker.
I keep seeing the clip where he melts.
Yeah.
I keep seeing that clip on like Instagram or whatever. And
Yeah.
like, I just want to wait and watch the whole thing, because that bit where he just, it just gets me every time. But like, I quite like that scene as like an actiony scene, because he picks up the sword. Well, because we haven't talked about this, but fantasy, it has a magic wand.
Yeah.
Which
And as she gets closer to the fantasy realm, she can use it. So she
Yes.
saves him about to die by creating like Arabian Nights. I think she gets like a carpet for him. She goes,
at
like she
one point,
finds a book. She just opens up Arabian Nights and gets him a carpet. They fly away trying to evade the dragon.
But the dragon eats it. The dragon
Eventually.
eats the wand. Yeah.
Eventually.
So he shows his valor. He picks up like he pillages a corpse effectively.
Yeah,
picks off
kinda
its
gross.
helmet. It was a little bit Dungeons and Dragons, the game that corpse from like the arcade era. And I liked that he picks up the helmet, the sword, and then he stands up to the dragon and then gets immediately eaten.
Yeah, like he did not. He blew like there was like one fire he like blocked.
Yeah.
He like tapped it on the knee.
Yeah.
And then it's like, fuck you.
Got absolutely nowhere.
Yum yum yum.
Yeah, it's like playing Dark Souls and you get to like a dragon that's way too strong for you and it just goes like, you
For
did.
sure.
So he eats, and then he finds the wand inside. And I think I zoned out at this point. What does he do with the wand?
He basically finds that he tries to use it to open a book, which he actually finds Jack and the Beanstalk, and uses the wand to like make the beanstalk come out.
That's it.
And from there, beanstalk comes out of the dragon's throat. They ride it all the way up to the exit sign.
He is the throat goat, that dragon, I tell you now.
Fair call.
And then there's a big musical number at the end, right? Like it has a big song and dance.
Is there a musical
That
number?
feels really tacked on.
I don't remember that.
It's like the last place they're in before they get to the very end, and there's like pixies and stuff flying around.
There is a song.
Yeah, it's very
I don't think it was
90s.
at the very end, though. I think it's like right before the fantasy part. Anyway, who cares? There is like a random
Look.
Celine Dion back
unnecessary.
song.
Yeah,
I
it
think
seems that way.
It was like a famous 90s artist, obviously.
I didn't rate that part. That's what I zoned
So
out.
funny. Gil was like, "Oh, it's a beautiful song." And you're like, "Fuck that song." Just everybody likes different stuff, you know. It is what it is.
Different strokes for different folks,
for
as
sure.
Fantasy would say in all of her pages.
100%.
I was looking really hard to find some plot holes in this movie.
Well, I mean,
Really hard.
it's all a dream, so there can't be.
And that's the worst bit. I
Yeah,
was like,
like,
anything that's a plot hole, you can be like, it was all a dream.
It's fiction.
No. Yeah, exactly. It's all effectively fiction.
yeah.
So like I was a bit sad in that respect. But like effectively it ends with him coming back to the real world. He's got over all of his fears. He now lives in a treehouse with his book friends. Is that about how it ends?
Yeah, it is. It does end, and they're like, is it in his imagination? Does he have imaginary friends now because of this trauma he's been through?
Yeah. Has he got another personality
know.
now? Is he
Yeah, we don't know. He's cooked, probably. Yeah.
Is he going to be best friends with Michael Jackson?
Goodness
Either way,
gracious, dude.
that's how we end. Do you want to talk a little bit more about the tones and or themes of this then?
I don't think there's anything else to say.
We've
Tones-
talked a lot.
Yeah, friends over. No, it's like sacrifice is like true friendship is sacrifice, and then
Yes.
facing your fears. And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I put you remember that like meme thing where you'd put like a lowercase and an uppercase and a lowercase and an uppercase?
love your
Yeah,
friends.
I just put learning is fun.
Fear is your friend.
Yeah.
And courage through knowledge.
Exactly. It's all the same to me.
Read books. Actually, do it though. Read some books.
It's like the
Books are friends.
books are good.
If you don't have friends, read books.
Wow. Is this edutainment, by the way?
Why
feel
do I
it was
sound like
almost
horror?
Yeah. You
Anyway,
do sound like horror.
Go ahead.
Is this edutainment? It's close.
Edutainment?
Kinda.
I mean, it's definitely like
It's in the realm.
it's like, yeah, you're exposing kids to like some pretty classic stories.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So talk to me then, DL. What we like to do now is we like to do our 3 best and 3 worst for a thing. And what we do is we basically say 3 reasons why you might want to watch this movie and 3 reasons why you just might not.
Yeah, let's do it. I really just loved the horror parts for a child film.
Sure, I've got that too.
I think like that was awesome. I love the story is just a unique story.
Okay.
I don't think you've seen something like this, maybe other than the Never-Ending Story.
Very similar.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of things where
I just
you go.
thought about that as I
Yeah.
said it. But what else is there?
Well, Last Action Hero, he comes from like a film world into the real world. There's a
No,
fair
but I
few
mean more
things.
just like delving into
Ring,
the world of like
she was on a TV show.
stop freaky movie. Should we do a horror anthology?
We could do a horror anthology.
Fuck, that's scary.
Too many.
Yeah,
I could never watch with a partner. She doesn't like horror.
She said she was.
I know.
How's she dealing with Yellow Jackets?
I'm really coaching her through it.
It's tough.
Yeah, but then I was the one who got freaked out when the leg got crushed because
Yeah.
I can't deal with that stuff.
Squishy, squishy.
We talked about.
The what was I saying?
You got two more worst.
Yeah, love
Best, sorry.
love the like the fact that it's like this story going through literature. Like to me, that's like very unique.
Yeah, sure.
And then the general just design and mystique of the library and the world around it, and it's like this weird, crazy, just different vibe. I like
it. Does have like for the time a very unique feeling to it. Like I feel like it was a bit of zeitgeist in that moment in history, but like I like the way they've done this.
Yeah.
In terms of like the animation that we talked about animation a minute ago, I think that's one of my best. I said it's brisk. That's it. That's one of the good things about it too.
Pace.
I really like Patrick Stewart just hamming the shit out of this.
That's a pirate.
He was
He's a pirate.
Adventure. It was great. He was just going for it. What are your worsts?
I would say was a bit more like 90s classic than I remember. Like that traditional scene where it's like, yeah, dude, do the jump, bitch. You can't do it. Look at him. Like, it's just like,
You said you was.
it's like the exact same scene of every like Macaulay Culkin movie.
Oh, every single one.
Yeah, like, so that was, I forgot about that. And then,
Oh, it's so 90s, isn't it? Wow.
yeah.
Like, I think we've been talking about it and not highlighting that one really key feature of this
It's
movie.
very 90s.
So 90s. Fuck.
Whoopi Goldberg book relationship was random.
Yeah, that was too
Didn't
much.
need that. Didn't need like all the random comments about her pantyhose and stuff.
Sexualizing. Fuck.
Yeah.
You make my points.
I didn't need that.
Didn't need it.
Happy endings, that happens in fantasy. But the pantyhose, that's a new thing.
Happy endings in the pantyhose.
Yeah. Woo, woo. And then like I actually thought like overall the animation was good, but there was like the moment when he goes into like becomes animated with the paint and colors.
Sure.
Cool idea, but it
sucks.
looked like it was out of like a CD-ROM. Like
It
like,
probably was.
Like it literally looked like it was like a Macintosh level
Yeah, it's
graphics
not.
from that era.
It's not wonderful.
Yeah. How about you?
Yeah, look, I've got two, but I think it's more a general I not having nostalgia for this
Yeah.
made it a real hard watch. Admittedly, I was mostly playing Zelda while watching it, so made it way easier. Way easier. But I said
It's only 80 minutes anyway.
I hated everything about Richard Tyler, so Macaulay Culkin's character.
Oh, really?
Fuck, he was annoying at the beginning.
Yeah, he was a bitch.
When he's like, ladders, you're part of one of every third accident in the
13%
home. I'm
accident.
like, are you a robot? Like, what's
and
wrong
then
with
he's
you?
like, ladders and trees. What's up to 23%, Dad?
I'm like, what's wrong? What is wrong with you?
The dad's pretty chill about it. Like
The bit where he has
all
the
10
argument with the mum in the bedroom,
Yeah.
I thought that was when he was going to freak out and run out of the house or something. But no, he just sticks around.
Yeah, he's
He
like,
just hangs out.
people don't love me. I don't
Yeah.
care.
And then I've written some of the characters. I'm not sure where I was going with that, but I find a lot of the voice acting in this outside of the main cast. So, like, for example, the pirates, like, God, they were annoying. Like, super stereotypical, like, no variation to them. They could have all been done by the same person. I was
Probably
like,
would. They
I was
probably
like,
were.
this kind of sucks. And in fact, you know what? My final one's going to be that they don't use Christopher Lloyd enough. He's great in this. He's great in general. We cut out the bit that I talked about in terms of the, the whole child thing that, could be awkward in the long run. But he's a great actor. Give me more of him.
Yeah, yeah.
Have him as like a guide all the way through or something, or like cropping up occasionally.
Yeah, I
You're
agree.
doing really well, guys.
Well, I think that's
Keep
what he
going.
was. Like, isn't he the Pagemaster? Surely.
Yeah, but he doesn't crop up occasionally.
Yeah, no, you're right.
You see him at the beginning and then
In
the
the very
end.
end,
That's
yeah.
it. Give me more of Christopher Lloyd.
I think we have something we have to determine, Tommy.
Please tell me.
We have a rating system on this show.
Oh, we certainly do. I've actually cut this out for some reason. Go on.
And on this show, our rating system isn't how many chapters, 5 out of 10, 6 books out of 20. I don't fucking know. Whatever you want to do, it is not that. It is not a
What do we
thumbs up
do,
or a
DL?
thumbs down. We do, is it better or worse than the most average movie of all time? Aquaman 2018. So, Tommy, I have a question for you. Is this better or worse than Aquaman?
DL.
Is it better or worse than Aquaman?
DL.
Yeah.
I am going to have to tell you that this is significantly worse than Aquaman 2018. I'm sorry. I don't have the nostalgia for it. I didn't like most of the characters. It was weirdly sexualized. There was that thing going off in my head saying, is he being molested this
Stranger
whole way
danger.
through the movie?
Stranger danger.
Stranger danger. None of it added up for me. I'm really sorry, mate. What about you?
I'll be fine. I don't know if Richard will. I don't know if he'll recover from this.
Hey, is that a play on Richie Rich? No.
There's something in the trivia section of
Right.
IMDb that said it was, but who knows?
Okay, all right.
It did come out in the same year.
Interesting.
Look, I'm not going to say that you're wrong. I'm just going to say What's not being sexualized about Jason Momoa in watertight, wet jeans?
Interesting.
Also very
points.
sexual.
Good points.
But
sexual in a way that I'm down with.
But he is a consenting adult. So I'm gonna have to agree with you, man. This is definitely worse than Aquaman 2018. But that doesn't mean I won't enjoy it for its nostalgia and its creativity at the time.
That's what I wanted to hear.
But if I'm gonna go, what do I choose to watch tomorrow? I'll probably not watch this again for another 10 years.
Yeah, no. Yeah. I don't think I'll ever watch this again.
I'll have
unless
kids.
it's like, like the kids really want to watch it, in which case I'll be like, you sure you don't want to watch Aquaman?
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap up then. DL, do you want some true or false trivia before we finish?
Sure, let's do it.
You've actually already ruined my first one. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. True or false, Christopher Lloyd's character, Mr. Dewey, was named after the Dewey Decimal System. True or false, you've already said this.
True.
Correct. True or false, Frankenstein's monster does not actually appear in the final cut, but we do see him in the trailers. Is that true or is that false?
Well, he's definitely not in the final cut. And I
true.
do think he was in the video game, so I'm going to say true, because he might have been
It is
in
true.
other things, yeah.
He was also in the television spots and the theatrical cut and the home entertainment releases around the world from 93 to 95. Interestingly, appearing in deleted scenes and behind the scenes stuff and the video game, but not.
Sounds like
in
they
the
could have had
actual film.
a couple more minutes in horror. We should have done it. Anyway.
True or false, DL? This movie was based on a book.
I think it's the opposite. I think books were made out of this movie.
There were actually two versions of the book that were made from this. A novelization and a shorter junior novelization.
Because I've seen, those like movie to book things that happen with animated movies. That feels like one of those. Yeah.
It sounds bad.
Yeah.
Ultimately, DL, I could have taken or left this, but as a kid, I reckon I would have probably enjoyed it for its quirkiness.
It's not even quirky. It's just unique. It's different.
It's different.
It's not another
Let's
princess
go with
movie.
that, DL. DL, to wrap up, John, some correspondence.
Let's hear it. Give it to me.
We have a couple of awesome bits. Thank you, guys. We appreciate when you hit us up. We are at Podcast Symbol on Instagram or thepodcastsymbol@gmail.com, or just go to our website, www.podcastsymbol.com. All our shit's there. You can find us. You just send us stuff. You like it. We get it. Friend of the show, Tom. Initial react. We got a couple of actually reactions to firstly our podcast on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and people are finally getting to actually see it in cinemas.
Nice.
I know a few people haven't listened to that podcast yet because they want to take their time and see the movie first. Not everyone goes sees everything on the first night. I get it. It's
been
fine.
weeks.
We just like to talk about it.
It's been weeks.
Well, we didn't do correspondence last week. I forgot. So these are actually from last week. Friend of the show, Tom. He says he, firstly, loved the podcast. Thank you, guys. And also loved the movie. But he asks the question, is this James Gunn putting a big middle finger up to the MCU? Because it is in such its own unique box. He says, is this his effectively his like parting gift as a middle finger?
I think no, because like mostly there's things that happen in Guardians that eventually affect the old world or the broader world.
Sure.
But it's very
Guardians
rare
1.
in both.
Okay.
It's very well, I guess in any case, it's very rare for that world to insert itself into Guardians. It didn't happen in any of the movies.
Sure.
They've all been self-contained. So I think that's just what it was. And then they would take things from Guardians and use them in the broader world, which is probably what they do with this.
So interestingly, I was actually reading about this recently, and I'd forgotten this. I'm sure we've talked about this on the show. So prior to James Gunn getting fired by Marvel, the way it was gonna work was with the MCU, he was gonna be like a mini Kevin Feige. So Kevin Feige in the big chair, watching over everything, focused mainly on the street level heroes and just giving James Gunn some pointers on what's upcoming. And James Gunn was going to focus on the spacey wacy stuff. He was going to be that big cosmic dude, which sounds freaking amazing.
Yeah.
And because of the whole scandal with his tweets, which, yeah, we don't condone that. Not good sport, mate. But like,
I don't even remember.
He got cancelled for a minute.
Yeah, but what was it? Was it homophobic?
It was I think ironically it was about molesting children, which jokes about it, things that you probably shouldn't say.
So it was just like a dark joke.
Pretty well, yeah, and it was in pretty bad taste. Anyway, so imagine that for the MCU. Yeah. You've got James Gunn heading up this wild cosmic section where the Guardians are off doing weird shit, and there's all, like Adam Warlock and stuff. Now that would have been fun. I agree. I don't think it was like a middle finger to the MCU. I think it was a love letter to what he's put on screen and like a great send off for these characters.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, like, dude, the middle finger to the MCU didn't have to be ruining the thing that he worked really hard on.
Of course.
Or like pissing people off from like, that are in the cast.
And paid him a lot of money.
The middle finger is, I'm joining DCU to fuck you guys up. That's the middle finger.
Well, he's taking that man in the chair.
Yeah.
We also had correspondence from friend of the show, Andy. Thank you, friend of the show, Andy, who also sent in his overview, review, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
He says he finally got to see Guardians of the Galaxy the other night, but he only thought it was okay. Now, he particularly liked Rocket's backstory and how heartbreaking it was, but he just didn't enjoy it as much as he hoped he would.
Oh,
and he's saying he's feeling like he's got a bit of superhero fatigue right now. I don't know where I stand on this. Like, I keep flipping backwards and forwards. Like, there's a part of me that's like, oh my God, yeah, like another thing. There's also a part of me that's like, Secret Invasion's coming out in a couple of weeks, baby, and I am so in for that.
I mean, I just think it's not necessarily, maybe there is some superhero fatigue, but I think that like maybe
I think you have a little bit of superhero
I
fatigue.
definitely have superhero fatigue, but this is like this was a story that was emotional, and like the big is only good if there's good small stuff, and they nailed the small stuff.
100%.
So like that to me was a great movie. Now, would I have liked it more if I didn't have to watch 20 bad Marvel movies before? Probably. Because all these movies have there is some level of climax that's the same. Yeah. There is some level of repetitiveness just in the design of them. But
I think that's why I like Guardians so much.
But even so,
like the ending of it, like even though they were just destroying a spaceship, like it was quite small. It was like, it was effectively the Rocket getting his revenge.
Yeah, and it was kind of funny because they were on the ship instead of saving them. They were like, my point is, no, I think it's, there's fatigue for sure. But that's the reason you weren't as excited for that movie is probably because it was like, you didn't hit his home. It's 10 years in the making, man. It's overhyped. Yeah, eventually, you can't live up to it.
This should have come out years ago.
Whatever it was, not 10.
Yeah.
But,
I think it was 8 years in the making. Yeah. So I guess I'm not fatigued by it. I think I'm over the average ones.
Yeah,
I think we can be more selective.
I think I probably don't, and so far don't need to watch. I think we got so into watching MCU movies, like they all blend in together. These last ones haven't, so we don't need to.
True. Yeah. All right, final piece of correspondence, DL. Now, we actually got sent this by a couple of people based on our, let's say, love for Henry Cavill. So a couple of friends of the show, and I'm going to call out friend of the show, Cat Pat, who sent this over, and it is effectively it's kind of a piece of news. And it's Henry Cavill who came out this week and said he thinks he thinks gaming on his own is way more fun than going out, and thinks that is a perfect reflection of us. And I'm going to say, you're right. I am like Henry Cavill. Thank you for calling that out.
I think for most things, I would agree. Yeah.
I actually, these days, I'm getting old. I actually do thoroughly enjoy. Sometimes I will make an excuse not to go out so
just
I can play a video game.
Nothing wrong with that.
I don't get a lot of time to play video games.
Yeah, fair enough.
Well, thank you all for the correspondence, and thank you, DL, for sticking, and thank you everyone for sticking with it.
Thank you, Tommy. It's been good. It's been real. Please pass the pod. Give us a review. If you like the Pagemaster, give us a review. If you didn't like the Pagemaster, give us a review telling you why you shouldn't watch it. If you're Tommy, he gave you quite a few reasons.
I gave you a lot of reasons.
And I will say, until next time, squad, laters gators.
Tally ho.
Enjoy.
Enjoy what?
I don't know why I said that. You can cut that. Enjoy.